Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The World Series is tied at 2 with Game 5 tonight in Philadelphia. The Phillies trying to shake off getting no hit by the Astros in Game 4. Phil's manager, Rob Thompson.
We were no hit earlier in the year in New York against the Mets, and we came back the next day and won. So these guys, they got a short memory.
Rob Thompson, Phillies and Astros Game 5 coverage starts at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Ravens wideout Rashad Bateman will miss the rest of the season. He'll have foot surgery. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports linebacker Bradley Chubb gets a 5-year, $110 million extension with the Dolphins. Miami traded with the Broncos this week to get Chubb. Pro Football Hall of Famer Ray Guy, a 3-time Super Bowl champ with the Raiders, has died after a long illness. He was the first punter to be a first-round pick and the first to be a Hall of Famer. Ray Guy was 72 years old. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports 76ers guard James Harden will likely be out for a month with a tendon strain in his right foot.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. What a day. Man, we have got so much to get to today. Ryan Clark in about 15 minutes. We'll head over to Alabama next hour to preview the Tide. Mike Triplett in hour 3. We got to talk about the World Series Game 4. You got Thursday Night Football, and then Paul Nolan will be here next hour as well to give us a pick on Thursday Night Football, his best bets for the weekend. So, man, a ton to get to. The Pels lose in L.A. in dramatic fashion. But we got to start with some breaking news. There is breaking news in the NFL right now. Adam Schefter tweeting, as did others, during Dennis Allen's availability today. Dennis Allen has told reporters he does not expect Michael Thomas to play again this season. Michael Thomas done for the year, apparently, with a dislocated toe. That apparently is the issue for Michael Thomas, which has kept him out. And man, oh man, that is a gigantic blow. So a couple things, and this news is just breaking here in the last 20 minutes. So I'm reacting a little bit on the fly. First thing, I'll look at it in an immediacy for this team. And for this team, it's kind of irrelevant. I don't want to overly minimize it, but we've talked about this enough, right? I mean, the Saints are averaging nearly 25 points a game. They certainly have gotten on a roll of late. The offense was really good against the Raiders. They scored 34 in a loss to Arizona. They scored 26 in the loss to Cincinnati. They scored 39 against Seattle. As I've said over and over, the offense isn't the problem. And at some point, you're going to get Jarvis Landry back, but your receivers have been pretty good. Chris Olave has certainly looked the part of a number one receiver, and instilling an awful lot of confidence in the Saints' decision to draft him where they did and to trade up to take him. It's interesting because when you look at receptions, after Olave at 37, it's Kamara at 33. So they have forced the ball to Alvin. Juwan Johnson's had a nice season. He's got 21 catches on the year. Juwan Johnson does. And Marquez Callaway's there. You've seen Rashid Shaheed develop. You're going to get Jarvis back at some point, hopefully sooner than later. Jarvis has only played in 4 games this year, but he had 15 catches in his 4 games. So I think in the immediacy, because you really haven't gotten much from Michael Thomas anyway, you're not really losing much. Does that make sense? Of course, we know the player Michael Thomas can be when he's healthy, but he's played in 3 games. He missed all of last season. He's played in 3 games this year. So, and he hasn't been out there. He wasn't out there against the Raiders and hasn't been out there here as the offense has improved. So in the immediacy, I'm not super concerned about it because you've been fine without him. Would you love to have him? Of course, but you don't. There's then there's the future. And, I know that the immediate reaction that a lot of you are going to have is cut him, trade him, all that sort of stuff. And I'll go over this again because those aren't realistic options. First of all, you can't trade Michael Thomas. I'll just start there. You can't trade him. Michael Thomas right now, next year, his cap hit is $28.2 million. 28.2. The dead cap number that the Saints would carry is $25.4 million. Remember, the Saints right now are $50 million over the salary cap and have only 36 players under contract for next year. You're not clearing cap space by adding $25 million in dead cap money next year. You have no relief. So you can't trade him because you're not going to carry that dead cap figure. And what team would want a guy that hasn't played in 3 years? He was hobbled during the 2020 season. He missed all of last year, and now he played 3 games this year. I mean, it's so massively unfortunate, but that's the reality you face. Nobody's going to trade for him because the contract's too big, and you can't cut him because you're not going to eat that dead cap figure. Your best path forward is to try again to get Michael Thomas healthy. As unfortunate as this injury is, it's just the reality of a player that's approaching 30 years old that can't stay healthy. And unfortunately, you gave him a monster contract, and he's just not playing to that contract. You gave him the big deal. He had the record-breaking season. You gave him the gigantic contract, and it was warranted. It was warranted. But now you're talking about a guy that's 29 years old. He'll be 30. In the next few months, and he'll be 30 in March, and there's no reason to believe that this is going to get better with him being an injured player. So you just have to accept the fact that you're not going to get peak Michael Thomas ever again. And you may see glimpses of it in games. You may see flashes of it, but you're not going to see a 17-game sample of peak Michael Thomas again because he's an aging player whose body is failing him. And so you look now, over the last 3 seasons, he's played in 10 games. He played in 7 games during 2020, missed all of last year, and then 3 games this year. So 10 games over 3 seasons. And then there's the context behind it. And I think when you start thinking about Michael Thomas's contract, which is, he signed a 5-year, $96.25 million contract with $60 million of it guaranteed. You start asking the question, is Michael Thomas's contract among the worst in the history of the NFL? And just do a quick Google search. I just Googled worst contracts in the history of the NFL, and there's some that pop up that are pretty obvious, and that I think this Michael Thomas contract will keep company with them. When Albert Haynesworth signed a 7-year, $100 million contract. He only played 2 years of that contract. And that was in 2009 when $100 million contracts weren't exactly commonplace. Certainly not for defensive linemen. Jared Goff got 4 years, $134 million from the Rams after they went to a Super Bowl and lost. Carson Wentz's deal in Philadelphia is one of the gold standards as well. 4 years, $128 million. The Colts ate $40 million, over $40 million. I'm sorry, not the Colts. The Eagles ate over $40 million in dead cap money to get out of that. They basically took a cap hit of in excess of $40 million just to have him not on their team. Nick Foles got 4 years, $88 million from Jacksonville. Percy Harvin's deal with the Seahawks back in 2013, my goodness, 6 years, $67 million. I mean, some of these are receiver deals that you'll see. Some of them are rush ends. Michael Johnson with the Bucs back in 2014 got 5 years, $43 million. We can go on and on. There's a long list of bad contracts in the history of the NFL, and Michael Thomas, unfortunately, is going to join that dubious list of players that got broke off in a big way and never came close to playing to that contract. And the really unfortunate part for the Saints is they don't have a way out because of the way this contract is structured. So the path forward is get Michael Thomas healthy, try to get something out of him for the remainder of this contract until you can find a palatable breaking point where you can move on and rebuild or build again without him. If you're just joining us, Michael Thomas, Dennis Allen says they do not expect him to play for the remainder of the season. He's a dislocated toe. Michael Thomas, done for the year. Okay, it is After Further Review. As always, brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com. All right, let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Ryan Clark will join us. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Been thrilled to tell you about the Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. We got Gordon. We got it done. And right now, look, it is officially Bama Hate Week. Y'all know that. It is Bama Hate Week, and there's so many Gordon McKernan athletes that are Louisiana born and Louisiana proud. And on this Bama Hate Week, man, you better believe that the Get Gordon athletes and all the people over at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, they are all in on the Tigers pulling off a big win this weekend. You hate Bama, and so does Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. So let's go get Gordon, get it done. Let's get a dub this weekend with Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You'll see the billboards and all the social media posts all over with all of the Sweet Home Louisiana billboards with guys like Kyron Lacey and Kayshawn Booty and Jaqueline Roy and Greg Brooks. So many great Louisiana athletes with Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Get Gordon and get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25%.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, we are rolling along. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on a Thursday edition of AFR. It is LSU Bama Week. Ryan Clark set to join us here in just a minute. We may flip segments and do RC actually in about 10 minutes from right now. I know he was recording a podcast and he's joining us, so he's running a little bit behind, but we'll get to RC to preview LSU Bama, and we'll get his thoughts on the Mike Thomas news as well. Fantasy Blitz in about 30 minutes. As LSU prepares for the Bama game this weekend, Brian Kelly and the Tigers got some really good news on the recruiting front today. This is how it sounded when four-star offensive lineman DJ Chester made his announcement at his school in Georgia today.
For the next 4 years, I'll be playing my college football at LSU.
DJ Chester's a four-star offensive tackle out of McDonough, Georgia. He's 6'5", 300 pounds. He chose LSU over Auburn, Ole Miss, Florida State, Michigan, Florida A&M had a hat on the table as well. He took his official to LSU back in June and apparently loved it. Told every reporter who he talked to that that he didn't want to leave. That he loved the vibe at LSU, and like Brian Kelly, Brad Davis spearheaded that offensive line recruitment. So you get your fourth offensive line commitment in this class now for Brian Kelly, and the I was thinking about this earlier today. When Brian Kelly was hired, we knew that his reputation was pumping two positions into the NFL. It was tight end and offensive line, right? I mean, that's what we talked about so much whenever Brian Kelly was hired. And what you've seen already is, of course, landed Emory Jones, landed Will Campbell, and you're seeing those young guys play and already develop and be really good. And now when you look at this class, DJ Chester is the 24th commitment for the class. Lance Hurd is a four-star. He's the sixth best offensive lineman in the country, number 55 overall player. And DJ Chester, a four-star, the number 13 offensive lineman in the country, number 138 overall. You've also got Tyree Adams out of St. Aug, who's a four-star, the number 16 offensive lineman in the country. And then Paul Mabenga, who's a little lower rated in the class. He's a three-star, but you can tell he's got a frame that you like, 6'4", 280 out of Buford, Georgia, and Buford's been a pretty good pipeline for LSU over the years. So, I kind of look and I go, this year on the offensive line, you went from replacing all five starters. You had a veteran line. I mean, Austin Decula started more games at LSU than anyone. You had Ed Ingram and Chasen Hines, and even Liam Shanahan, who was a transfer in here but started 2 years at center for you, kind of allowed you time to allow Charles Turner to build and develop a little bit. So, and look, you had a little bit of a revolving door last year, and a lot of different guys played, but you lost your whole starting offensive line from a year ago, all starting 5. And it was so dire that you had to go dip into the transfer portal to get Tremont Shorts from East Tennessee State, Miles Frazier from FIU. You really went hard after Tyler Steen from Vanderbilt, who ended up at Alabama. And through 8 games, you've used 6 different offensive line combinations. Now, part of that is injury, but also, I mean, you were spending part of camp rotating centers. Remember, in spring, they cross-trained 5 different guys at center to find someone who could snap the football. You end up starting 2 true freshmen at tackle. And normally when you make that decision, right, that you're going to play for the future, you're essentially acknowledging, I'm going to take my lumps. Like, I'm going to take my lumps in the short term to be really good in the long term. That's why you decide to play the young guys now. But what's happened, oddly, and to LSU's benefit, and it's certainly a great credit to Brad Davis, is your short-term take-your-lump window, your growing pains, lasted like 6 games. Because right now, LSU's offensive line is good. I'm not telling you they're a dominant group. I'm not telling you they're the best group in the SEC. What I'm telling you is earlier in this year, they were a sieve. I mean, it was a jailbreak every time someone brought pressure on Jaden Daniels. They were bad. They were objectively very bad. They couldn't run the football. They couldn't protect. We talked about it. It's one of the reasons Jaden Daniels won the job, and it was obvious he was going to win the job, was because of his mobility behind a bad offensive line. Well, the freshman tackles have solidified you on the edges. Charles Turner solidified you in the middle. And you found it with Bradford and Dellinger as your starting guards. With Dellinger hurt, Miles Frazier's filled in admirably at left guard. So you found your starting 5, and maybe the reason to be even more optimistic is when you look ahead, a year ago you lost your starting 5. Next year you get everybody back. Charles Turner's going to be back as a 5th-year player. You're going to have Dellinger and Bradford back next year as your guards. Those 2 freshmen are coming back. You're going to have all 5 starters. Miles Frazier, he's a 3rd-year player. He's a sophomore, a redshirt sophomore, so he's a 3rd year. He is draft eligible, but I would assume Miles Frazier's coming back to LSU next year. And then on top of that, you look at guys like Cam Wire, who's a senior, and he could come back as a super senior. But you've got Martinez and Doomerville and Hill, and young guys like McAnaioli and Bordelon. Cardell Thomas is still on the roster. You've gotten depth now, and a lot of those guys have played a lot of football for you, and now you're adding this class with Lance Hurd and DJ Chester and these really talented, like highly sought-after blue-chip recruits. The rebuild of this offensive line happened pretty abruptly. And when you look at it as it stands now and how it should look next year with all 5 starters returning in the depth that I just mentioned, that's going to go from being literally the biggest weakness on your team to start the 2022 season to maybe the cornerstone of your team in 2023, which is a pretty amazing about face. And obviously, you give the players a lot of credit for committing themselves to getting better and the young guys for playing and doing as well as they have. But you got to credit Brad Davis for his development of this offensive line and these guys, especially the young players, and Brian Kelly for getting out there and recruiting as well, man. So DJ Chester, 4-star offensive lineman out of Georgia, commits to LSU, the 24th member of the 2023 class, the 4th offensive lineman. And, man, they are rolling right now. For everyone who questioned if Brian Kelly was going to be able to recruit, he is emphatically answering that. LSU right now is up to number 4 in the country in the 247 composite class ranking. So, man, it is really exciting, to look. And look, Bama's 1, Georgia's 2. Oddly enough, Notre Dame is 3, and LSU's 4 right now in the 247 composite rankings. But Brian Kelly, his first full class at LSU, he's already outpacing Ohio State. He's outpacing Texas, Oklahoma, Miami, Florida, Clemson, Oregon, Tennessee, Southern Cal, Penn State. Long way to go. But man, what a statement that Brian Kelly and the staff are making, and how much optimism there is surrounding the future of this offensive line as well. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by GMFS Mortgage, GMFSmortgage.com. Changing lives since 1999. Home buy, refi, construction loans. You know where to find them there, GMFSmortgage.com. It's a good time to buy. I'm not sure if you saw the Fed ticked up interest rates again. I'm telling you, and they're not done either. Rates are going to go higher. So if you're thinking of buying a home, in so many instances, it will cost you less to own than it does to rent, and you're building equity, you're building wealth. So, or maybe you're a homeowner and you're looking to move, maybe to get a little more house. It's a great time to do it right now because rates are going to go higher. A lot of people think you're sitting on the sideline right now saying, I'm going to wait for rates to go down. Well, all the information we had from the Fed is that rates are going to go up again. They're going to continue climbing before they come down. So don't wait years until you see them drop to, pre-2021 rates. Buy that house now, get locked in, and when rates correct, when we see rates go down again, then you can refi. Let a local loan officer from GMFS Mortgage help you with all that information. GMFSmortgage.com. GMFS Mortgage, changing lives. All right, we're going to get to RC in the next segment then. Waiting on him to jump off the podcast he's on. Let's do Around the SEC right now. Let's do it.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Barring a setback, Vanderbilt freshman quarterback A.J. Swan will start against South Carolina. Clark Lee confirmed that on Thursday. Swan suffered an injury in the third quarter of the Missouri loss 2 weeks ago, but was able to return to practice this week after their open date. Commodores came closest they did to getting an SEC win a year ago against the Gamecocks in a 21-20 loss. They should have their starting quarterback return.
The Florida Gators.
Safety Kamar Wilcoxon announced on social media that he intends to enter the transfer portal at the end of the season. Wilcoxon's appeared in just 2 games this season for the Gators. 6'1", 193. He chose Florida over 30 scholarship offers, including Alabama and LSU when he came out of IMG Academy. He reclassified to jump into college in the 2020 class and played during his first season, but in 2021, he missed the entire season after undergoing knee surgery and now is hitting the portal.
The Missouri Tigers.
First-year defensive coordinator Blake Baker is getting a contract extension. Eli Drinkwitz announced that on his radio show. Baker, of course, joined the staff as safeties coach, and then when Steve Wilkes left to join the Carolina Panthers, Baker was promoted to defensive coordinator. He's making $600,000. His raise is expected to push him past $1 million per year, and Baker is expected to sign the contract on Thursday.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
And quarterback Julian Sayin has committed to Alabama, number 34 overall for the 2024 class. So he's a high school sophomore right now. He's a rising junior. He chose Crimson Tide over Georgia and LSU, as you may well know. Nick Saban already has 2 commits for the current class with Eli Holstein and Dylan Lonergan. Forgive me, he would be a rising senior. He's a junior now, would be a rising senior. So not for this signing class, but the next. Julian Sayin, who LSU was in the mix for him, has picked Alabama. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends Gulf Coast Office Products online at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. That's what you get at Gulf Coast Office Products, the official office equipment provider of LSU Athletics, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, the ULL Raging Cajuns. Gulf Coast Office Products, great supporters of all of our local team and of local businesses. That's Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, it's After Further Review. Let's see if we can connect with RC when we come back. Fantasy Blitz in about 15 minutes, so you can line up your fantasy football questions. If you have not yet heard Michael Thomas dislocated toe, he is not expected to play again this season. If you missed our opening thoughts on that, you can jump on the YouTube channel, the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube, scroll to the front of the show and catch that right now if you'd like to do it. Let's hook up with RC next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Y'all, it is a gigantic football weekend. Of course, you got the Tigers and the Tide. You got the Saints on Monday Night Football. If you're going to be having a game watch or a tailgate, let Rouse's take care of everything. Their catering menu is awesome. So you want to have party platters or sandwich trays or big old slabs of ribs or pork or brisket for a whole herd of people, Rouse's can help you. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com is where you can go to learn more about all their food options. They've also got delivery and pickup options, not only for anything you need for your tailgate, but just for your groceries on a given day or week when you need to get to the store and you want to save some time. Download the Rouse's app, select your items, your personal shopper. We'll go pick them out for you when you pull up into the spot. They'll bring it out to your car. That's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wondered if I'd make it back to the people and places I love. But I got the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Your card matters. Your home does too.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit. We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, my apologies. I think we're going to bump RC to 4 o'clock, so the start of hour 2. As I mentioned, he was recording a podcast, so we're trying to connect. I think he's still on that podcast, so just to make it clean. So we'll do our Fantasy Blitz here in about 10 minutes from right now. We'll get to RC after the top of the hour. Our buddy Mark Heim from WNSP in Mobile is going to join us, AL.com as well, preview Alabama. That's next hour. And Paul Nolan from freewinners.net is going to be here. By the way, Paul Nolan gave you 2 picks last week on the show. He went 2-0 last week on the show. Give him another ding. There it is. So Paul Nolan, freewinners.net. Of course, you can always text the word free to 313-GET-INFO. That's 313-GET-INFO, 313-438 4636. Again, text the word free to 313-GET-INFO, and Paul will give you his six-pack for this weekend free. He did tell us it'll be Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Kansas State, Bama, LSU, Bills, Jets, Panthers, Bengals, and Titans, Chiefs. That's the six-pack. So we'll give you those 6 games for free if you text free, the word free, to 313-GET-INFO. Okay, hey, real quick, I get asked almost every day, and I'll get both Brian Kelly and Nick Saban have been kind of making the national media rounds talking about this game, so I'll let you hear from the two coaches here in just a quick second. But I get asked almost daily, especially with the LSU basketball season getting ready to start a week from yesterday, about potential sanctions. And we all know what's happening. LSU got its NOA, and we're basically just waiting to see what the ruling is going to be on that from the NCAA and how it might affect LSU. Will there be a postseason ban, et cetera, et cetera? Well, in the past 2 days, there's actually been pretty significant news. Kansas self-imposed a 4-game suspension for Bill Self and assistant coach Kurt Townsend. Both were named in the NOA to the school. And they're hopeful that the IRP just says, okay, thanks, that's good, and they move on. Well, today, Louisville did get their final ruling from the IRP, and Louisville got 2 years probation, and they were fined $5,000. That was it. The school got nothing else. Former coaches Rick Pitino and Chris Mack both avoided penalties from the NCAA. This all stems from them funneling money to recruit through Adidas as part of that the same 2017 investigation where Will Wade was on the federal wiretap. It's a little amazing. Former Louisville assistants Kenny Johnson and Jordan Fair were given 2-year show cause penalties. Now, that is notable because that is likely what's going to happen to Will Wade. He's going to get a show cause penalty. How many years? I don't know. Show cause means you cannot coach in college basketball until that term expires. But if you're looking for potential good news, it's that the NCAA in this same federal investigation, the NCAA let Louisville off with no postseason ban. So my hope is that the NCAA looks at this and says, okay, they got their pound of flesh with Will Wade. But so odd, though, that they didn't punish Chris Mack or Rick Pitino. It's almost like they just kind of had it out for Will Wade. Yeah, you think? But the good news is, like, what you don't want to have happen is Matt McMahon and these current players to be impacted by things that happened 5 years ago under a former coach and staff, et cetera. So maybe a little bit of good news there for LSU basketball remains to be seen. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by Michele Weighing and Measurement, Michele.com. You know where to find them, 29 offices across 11 different states, 6 calibration labs right here in the state of Louisiana. You can always find them online at Michele.com. And, of course, they're celebrating 75 years in business, but Michele is hiring. So if you're looking for a new job or a career change, Michele. Go work for a great local company that's been locally owned and operated for 75 years that values people. Go to Michele.com. You can hit the careers tab at the top. There's an apply now button where you can apply for all the jobs that are available. It's Michele Weighing and Measurement, an ISO 17025 accredited laboratory. Michele.com. Michele.com. Nick Saban and Brian Kelly both kind of been making the rounds. Nick Saban was on Scott Van Pelt on SVP, SportsCenter with SVP on Wednesday night, and SVP asked him how you win in Tiger Stadium.
Well, I think you got to be able to maintain your intensity, maintain momentum in the game, because there's going to be things happen in the game that are not always going to be in your favor, and you probably make some negative plays because of the environment and circumstances that you're in. So it's really important that you can, maintain your intensity, but you also have to regain the momentum when you lose it.
We mentioned it before, but I do think I am not going to minimize the impact Tiger Stadium may have on this game. Neyland Stadium impacted the game for Tennessee. Bama committed 17 penalties that day, and a big part of it was that place was a madhouse. And sometimes you jump off sides, or you don't hold on to the ball, or you're a little over anxious. I mean, I'm not going to minimize the impact Tiger Stadium could have in that game on Saturday. And I'll say it again, the last 2 years, Alabama has struggled on the road. I'm not saying that this is, but as an aside, good teams win games even when they don't play their best, especially on the road. And Alabama, by and large, has done that. Last year, they lost at A&M to Zach Calzada. It wasn't like they lost to some dynamic quarterback. Now, he had a great day, but he wasn't a dynamic player. Florida, if you remember, missed a PAT, and so they had to go for 2 at the end of the game. A 2-point conversion would have tied the game and sent it to overtime. And they missed, and Bama hung on. The Auburn game, we've talked about it. Auburn had it won. Tank Bigsby, go down in bounds. They run out the clock. It's over. He goes out of bounds. Bama gets the ball back, and they ultimately force overtime and win. This year, Texas had Alabama on the ropes. If Quinn Ewers plays that game and doesn't get hurt, maybe it's a different outcome. They lost at Tennessee. The Arkansas rallied, got within 2 points late in the third quarter. Both quarterbacks ended up getting hurt. We're missing that game. But Bama has been vulnerable on the road. They found themselves in tricky spots on the road the past 2 years. So I'm not going to minimize that. Now, both of these teams have also made a lot of progress throughout the course of the season. Brian Kelly was on Paul Feinbaum and was asked about the progress that his team has made here in year one.
I'm really proud of the way they have just given everything to do the little things the right way. And that's not easy, right? I mean, making changes and, at my age is difficult to do. And 18 to 21-year-olds is even more difficult. So really proud of the way they've made the changes. And so, I don't know that I really kind of wrote down, hey, what that number looks like, but I'm really pleased with the progress that they've made addressing the changes that needed to be made here. And that was living up to the standards of the pride and tradition of LSU football.
A lot of people ask, how LSU got from where they were against Florida State to now. And I think what Brian Kelly said there is true. It wasn't a moment. There wasn't a light switch. I think a big part of it is this coaching staff learning who can do what. Now, you have to have buy-in from the players, which they've gotten, but clearly they've gotten. But remember, Mike Jones was your starting linebacker, your starting Mike linebacker. He doesn't see the field anymore. Mason Smith was your starting interior player, and immediately Mekhi Wingo had to replace him, and he's been sensational this year. Think about how you're rotating at left end right now as well. You've had injuries to Major Burns and some of the safeties. Jay Ward was out for a bit. You've seen Fouché and Brooks emerge the way they have. We talked about the offensive line. You use 6 line combinations. If you had this offensive line combination playing like they are right now against Florida State, that's a dramatically different game. So much of LSU's progress, it's buy-in from the players, but it's also these coaches learning the players, learning what they do well, and putting them in positions to succeed. Now, Nick Saban was asked essentially the same question by Scott Van Pelt, which is how this team has improved since August, when they were a little slow out the gate to start the season, especially with week 2 at Texas.
Well, I was really pleased with the progress that we were making in the first 3 or 4 games of the season. And then Bryce gets hurt up at Arkansas. And it we stubbed our toe a little bit. It affected a little bit how we developed offensively, how we continue to develop confidence and continuity. But these guys have had a great attitude about what they try to do. I think the biggest challenge in college athletics right now is to keep guys attached to the right things. Attached and focused on not just winning, but the things that it takes that you have to do to win. That's something that I've been really pleased with since the Tennessee game. So we got a big challenge. So we'll see how it goes and see if we can stay that way, for the next few weeks.
You lose sight of it. Bama has had sort of an interesting season. In the first month, they had 3 layups in the Texas game. They played Utah State, blew them out. They played Texas, which was the 20-19 game where they made the field goal at the end to win it. They blew out ULM and blew out Vanderbilt. So that's kind of what Nick was alluding to. They were playing very well early because they had a schedule that's set up to do that, except for the one against Texas, which was the tough one, and that was sticky. Then they go to Arkansas, where Bryce Young got hurt, and Milroe and Gibbs take over in the fourth quarter of that game, and then they go to play Texas A&M, and Bryce Young doesn't play in that ball game, and that one was certainly sticky. A&M had a pass on the final play of the game to win it, from what amounted to like a 2-point conversion play for a chance to win the game on the final play. Bryce Young comes back. The offense rolls, but they lose to Tennessee. They commit 17 penalties, all that sort of stuff. Just a mistake-filled game. Then they played Mississippi State, and that's just been a great defensive matchup for Nick Saban. His defenses have done exceptionally well against Mike Leach. It's the first time in 3 years they scored a touchdown, and it happened at the end of the game. So, and then they had a bye. So I feel like the two times we've really seen Bama whole and challenged, they were pushed by Texas. They lost to Tennessee. So what are they now? Do they more closely resemble the team that blew out Mississippi State, or are they the team that struggled against Texas, the team that struggled on the road at Tennessee? We'll find out Saturday. But if you believe in situations, right, you like the situation favoring LSU on Saturday. Now, situations don't win games. Players do. I understand all that. But when you start to stockpile or stack reasons why LSU could or might or will keep this competitive, situation, I think, favors LSU. All right, it's after further review. Quick break. We'll come back. Our Fantasy Blitz with Darin Tietgen, whotostart.com. Before you set your fantasy football roster, check with our guys at whotostart.com. That's whotostart.com. Get your questions in now. It's AFR.
AFR. It's a raving fan shout-out. Presented by Darin James & Associates, brokered by eXp Realty.
I love sharing great reviews of Darin and his team. This one, a 5-star review at Rate My Agent. It says, "Thank you so much for all you have done. This is the second home of ours that Darin has sold. From start to the finish line, communication was always there. Didn't matter if it was 7 a.m. or midnight, Darin was up working. We never had to worry about anything. Darin and his team are second to none. There isn't anyone else we would use when buying or selling a home. We are so thankful for Darin James & Associates." That's from Pops, Angel, everyone else who's part. I'm sorry, that were part of the team that they were thanking there in this 5-star review. If you need to sell your home, trust the realtor that sells more homes than anyone. Trust Darin James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darin James.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. After further review, this is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whotostart.com.
Who the hell are you?
whotostart.com.
Hello.
The Fantasy Football Blitz.
Who the pickings?
This is the Fantasy Football Blitz, powered by whotostart.com on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 104.5ESPN.com.
All right, put a button here on hour number 1. Let's get to it. Before you set your roster, make sure you check with our guys at whotostart.com. Darin Tietgen is with us now. How are you, D?
I am doing good. Thank you.
Hey, man, huge news here. Michael Thomas looks like he is done for the year. For people, and obviously he's only played 3 games, but people are looking for receiver help or what to do with Michael Thomas if they had him. What do you think they do there for receiver? And also, do you think that has any impact on the Saints receivers?
Yeah, that's a big boost to guys like Chris Olave, maybe Traquan Smith to some extent. I wouldn't hurry to get those guys. Well, besides Olave, I wouldn't be hurrying to get Traquan Smith into my lineup just yet, but maybe in a week or two he starts seeing a little bit more targets.
We got Thursday Night Football tonight. I'll get a thought on the game tonight here in just a second, but a lot of guys on bye as well. Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, the Giants, Pittsburgh, San Fran. A lot of teams and owners, no doubt, looking for players right now. Who's out there that could be available?
If you're looking for a quarterback, kind of like in Trevor Lawrence this week, the Raiders give up quite a bit through the air, and so we're looking Trevor Lawrence to put up some decent numbers from a quarterback standpoint. In terms of a running back, A.J. Dillon from the Packers looked to be getting a little bit back on track last week, and like his matchup a lot against Detroit, who gives up a ton of yardage on the ground, especially to big bruising runners that run up the middle. So A.J. Dillon looks to be a good spot for you this week. And then a wide receiver, Josh Palmer, coming back from injury for the Chargers. Looks like he's probably going to take the Mike Williams spot with him nursing a high ankle sprain. And Keenan Allen is probably still a little bit dinged from his hamstring too. So there's a possibility that Josh Palmer is Herbert's number 1. So really liked Josh Palmer this week.
Eagles at Texans is the Thursday night game. Oh, boy, Philly's a juggernaut right now. Who are we keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I mean, expect the normal stuff out of Philly, although it may only have to be for a half. So if you're expecting huge numbers out of those guys, hopefully they get it in the first half, because I see a lot of running out of Miles Sanders for the second half. As for the Texans, not much really to see here. Brandon Cooks isn't playing. Neither is Nico Collins. So they're going to be running guys named Chris Moore and Philip Dorsett as their number 1 and 2 wide receivers. So if you're in a super pinch, maybe a guy like Chris Moore could get you 5 or 6 catches tonight.
Ooh. Cameron Cook, who to start? Let's see, 2 of these 3 non-PPR leagues. He's got Brian Robinson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, I'm going to sit Robinson. Looks like Gibson's starting to kind of mix himself a little bit back into the mix a little bit more. So until Robinson sees more of the carries, I think I'm going to sit Robinson for now.
Rusty says, got Superflex Dynasty League, Jalen Waddle for Devontae Smith, and a late first-round pick. Who wins the trade?
Oh, boy. I really like the Waddle side. I think that offense is going to hum for a long time.
Kyle Milliken, who to start, Hayden Hurst or Kyle Pitts?
I want to say Pitts because he had a great game last week, finally. Well, not a great game, but a serviceable game. But I think with Jamar Chase out at least another week, if not more, I think Hayden Hurst continues to see a lot more targets. So I would lean Hurst there, but if you want to roll the dice, Pitts is a good play too.
Dylan Atkinson says it's a 1-point PPR league. He's got Sanders tonight or Dante Foreman.
Oh, I can't sit Sanders against the Texans. They're going to be giving up a ton of yards. Foreman obviously looks great. If there's a way you can mix him into your lineup too, somehow I would say both. But if you're choosing between one of the two, I think Sanders has got to be the play.
He is Darin Tietgen. WhoToStart.com. We got less than 30 seconds, Darin. We appreciate you as always. Get to WhoToStart.com. Use the promo code ESPN. They'll give you 10% off. Get all of your personalized fantasy football advice. Darin, you're the best, man. We appreciate it. We'll do it again next week.
Of course. Sounds good.
All right, man. Be well. It's After Further Review. SportsCenter coming up. Get you caught up on national headlines. We'll have Ryan Clark, Mark Heim from AL.com, WNSP. Paul Nolan next hour giving you free picks as well. Stick around. A busy AFR rolls on after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Love telling you about Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. 288-8138, 288-8138, 288-8138 for Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. That's energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding. They do it all over at Relief Windows, and they do it better than anyone. I would highly, highly, highly recommend, if you have considered siding, go to the website at ReliefWindows.com, hit the siding tab, or just go into the Relief Windows showroom. I want to remind you, go to the Relief Windows showroom, Airline Highway in Prairieville. You go south on Airline, you cross Highway 42, just look. I mean, it's a few hundred yards on the right. You can't miss a giant, beautiful Relief Windows corporate headquarters and showroom. Every weekday, 9 to 5, they have associates there to help walk you through. You can essentially remake the exterior of your home in less than 2 weeks' time with hardy plank or vinyl siding. Learn more about it at ReliefWindows.com and schedule that free consultation. 288-8138 for Relief Windows, ReliefWindows.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% with 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water.
Miller Lite has more taste and only 96 calories. It's Miller time.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Justin Verlander and Noah Syndergaard started the same game back in April, the first start of the season for both, with both coming off Tommy John surgery. Tonight, they meet again in Game 5 of the World Series, and both will be free agents after the series. Verlander and the Astros, Syndergaard and the Phillies. Coverage at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio. The series tied at 2. In the NFL, it's Week 9, and tonight it's also Houston and Philadelphia. The 1-5-1 Texans hosting the 7-0 Eagles. Can Philly go unbeaten? ESPN's Bart Scott.
I don't think it's a possibility. I think that takes a lot of mental endurance. And, you want to worry about winning the championship. You don't want to worry about going undefeated.
Bart Scott on Get Up. ESPN's Ed Werder reports Texans wideout Brandon Cooks is out for tonight's game. He took 2 days off for personal reasons earlier this week and then seemed to be disappointed about not getting traded before the deadline.
Temperatures getting low, but demand remains high? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates, all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Matt?
You're a loser, Matt!
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Bottom of this hour, we'll talk to our buddy Paul Nolan, freewinners.net. He'll give out some free winners. Mike Triplett next hour. All right, let's head over to the great state of Alabama. Our buddy Mark Heim, WNSP Radio, also AL.com, joins us to preview the Tide. How are you, Mark?
Well, better than Michael Thomas, apparently, but I guess that's a conversation for another day.
You asked me this
or another
morning,
segment.
You asked me this morning on your show
yeah, I
who
did.
we were more likely to see sooner. I told you Jarvis Landry. Turns out I was right.
Yeah,
I
but
did not
man, you'll go to
anticipate
some extremes to prove that you're right, won't you?
Oh, man. If we didn't laugh, we'd just cry. So,
That's right.
hey, man, Mark, this is such an interesting Alabama season. They've got the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. They're 7-1. They're in position to do everything that Alabama always does. But it feels like the conversation around Alabama is different from Alabama people. What is the feeling there about this team this year right now?
Yeah, so you're probably right on there. You would think with Bryce Young coming back, the sky's the limit. I still think most Alabama fans feel that way, but the self-inflicted injuries, the wounds, the penalties, the mental mistakes, it's just not very common of a Nick Saban team, right? So early on in the year, there's all this talk about, is he losing his grip? Is it time to retire? Yet, despite all of that, here we are. They have the destiny in their hands. I mean, they control their destiny. They win out. They're going to be in the college football playoff. But, yeah, it's got a different feel, right? We talked about it a little bit earlier this morning. It doesn't seem like there's that much explosiveness with that offense. And, as good as Bryce Young has been, he got injured early. That certainly threw a wrench in people's plans. And, look, they've got a reputation because they're Alabama, right? But the truth of the matter is, over the last 2 seasons now, they have not really played well on the road. They've barely won some games, and they certainly haven't covered some spreads, which certainly bodes well for LSU this weekend.
Alabama 122nd in the country in penalty yards per game right now. I mean, Mark, how do you explain that?
Yeah, so that's the million-dollar question. So they seem to fix it. All of a sudden, they did a complete 180 from the Tennessee game to the Mississippi State game. Now they have the week off. I don't have an answer. I don't think Nick Saban has an answer. And I think that's why a lot of the critics have been very vocal about, man, can he control these guys? And then there's these discussions about maybe NIL is more important than the whole team thing and guys out there just trying to get theirs. It's really just a lack of discipline and a lack of focus. Like, you know, the secondary, it's pretty clear that Nick Saban's defensive backs have been taught to be aggressive, to be handsies, and make the officials throw the flag. Well, they're throwing the flag. I think people can live with that type of penalty, right? But it's that pre-snap movement, mental mistake type things that just have the 70-plus-year-old Nick Saban blowing a gasket at the end of the Mississippi State game, up 4 touchdowns with 30 seconds to play.
Right.
So to put my finger on it, I just think it's I think a lot of those guys just need a swift kick in the ass, quite frankly. I mean, they just need to get their stuff together.
Interesting. He's on Twitter at Mark_Heim, AL.com, WNSP Radio, talking about the Tide. You also mentioned the road issues. Mark, it's something that I mentioned earlier today, and I've mentioned probably every day the past 2 weeks. I mean, it's legitimate. I mean, there are at least 6 examples the last 2 seasons of road games where Alabama struggled. Is there anything to that?
I think there has to be, right? It's been kind of a dangerous trend. Obviously they're going to get everybody's best game and all that because it's Alabama and, all that blah, blah. But, I mean, they really should have probably lost to Texas. Now, Tennessee, I think was probably more self-inflicted wounds than anything. That's not to take anything away from Tennessee. Obviously, very explosive, great story. They deserve everything they're getting, and it's going to be a huge game this weekend. But that's a game where if you just cut your penalties in half and you don't have the special teams blunder, you're going to win that ball game. Now, to be fair to Tennessee had a mental error too on that. I think it was that read, that option read where he just kind of dropped the ball and Alabama ran one in. So to your point, yes, for whatever reason, there seems to be this mental hurdle that these guys just recently seem to have had problems getting over. It'll be interesting to see how they come off because they played really well against Mississippi State. Now you're coming off the bye week, and that's usually where Nick Saban really tries to refocus the guys to get back to more of the traditional, fundamental stuff. And this is kind of where their new season starts.
Mark, let's talk a little bit about the offense. Bryce Young is awesome. I think he's the best player in college football. But when I look at the receivers, I don't see Judy and Waddle and Ruggs and Smith and all those guys. Is there really that big of a step back at that position this year?
Yeah, there is, with a caveat. I mean, injuries have really plagued the guys that they went out and got, right? So Tyler Harrell had the foot injury, the transfer from Louisville, much publicized transfer. This is a guy that I think just got his first catch of the season against Mississippi State. I think they're feeling that, even Saban has talked about his speed and explosiveness, and you just haven't been he hasn't been on the field, so you haven't seen it. I think JoJo Earle is another one that comes to mind. He was really their primary punt returner before he got injured. He had a knee injury last season, and then he's had a foot injury this season, or at least this preseason. So they haven't had a chance to work those guys back in. So when you're relying on those other guys like Ja'Cory Brooks, who's big and athletic for 6'2", or like a Kobe Prentice who leads the team in catches, but he's small, they've spread it out a little bit more. They haven't had that go-to guy. But I think Saban is hoping that Harrell and guys like JoJo Earle really kind of step it up moving forward starting this Saturday.
Mark, what about the running game? Like when Bama is going good, why does it work?
Well, I think one of the reasons you look at the offensive line, specifically Seth McLaughlin, he's the center, right? He's missed some side. He's undersized. But he got back into the game after missing some time due to an injury against Arkansas, and you saw what they did against Arkansas. Yeah. So I do think, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm like fansplaining things all of a sudden like I'm in a Dr. Pepper ad. But, when Bryce Young is in there and there's that threat, right? When Young was missing, I felt like guys were daring Alabama to throw the ball a little bit. but they had McLaughlin back in, and he really, I thought, energized that offensive line. Now that you've got him in, you've got Bryce back there with the ability to extend plays, make guys commit. You know, people often compare him to a point guard, right? And he's probably the best example of that. His ability to make that defender commit one way or the other and just kill him with whatever the other option is. I think with that, I think it opens it up for Jahmyr Gibbs, who, quite frankly, started the season really slow, but has certainly picked up the pace.
When teams have limited Alabama offensively, how have they done it?
I personally don't think the defense has been as dominant as people thought they were going to be. Now they start talking about this cheetah package where they have all these speed rush guys. And the other issue, and I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, is the kicking game is, and I know you always ask me about the kicking game, Matt. Yeah. That was a bone of contention for years with Saban, right? Yeah. How is it that he can recruit all these high-profile guys but can't get a kicker? Well, he got a kicker, Will Reichert, and he's been a phenomenal last 2 seasons. And he's even talked about how in the COVID year he didn't miss a single kick, like period, nothing. And now all of a sudden, this dude's got more issues than you can shake a stick at. So to answer your question, I think it's just I think it's athletic ability. I think they're more talented than most. The question and the problems that arise, though, is when it's not clicking, to your point, like against Tennessee, and it's athlete against athlete, now all of a sudden they're at a little bit of a disadvantage. So I think with the return of Harrell and potentially JoJo Earl, and if they can keep those penalties down, I think they have the upper hand on most teams moving forward.
What about the defensive weakness, if there is one? How would Jaden Daniels and LSU be able to attack Alabama?
Well, I mean, we talked about the penalties in the secondary. I would hope that they go man and they just get handsy. To be perfectly honest with you, and I think running at Will Anderson, believe it or not, probably works better than trying to run away from him because he is so fast. But look, I think what LSU has done, I think we could all agree that they're vastly improved and continuing to improve week in and week out. So I think you hit them with a steady diet. I've always thought that of both the run and the pass, but I always thought tempo was really the Achilles heel to Alabama defenses. I just don't feel like they defend that real well. Now they've had a bunch of mental breakdowns going back to last year, just X's and O's type stuff. Like there'll be guys wide open just on busted coverages. So I think if you can get creative schematically with getting running backs out in open space, or tight ends have been really big targets against Alabama, I think you can have some success there. And then if you get Alabama on their heels, then it starts to open up the rest of the playbook for you.
I'm not going to ask you about kickers because you just answered it.
Yeah.
But what about special teams? But what about special teams as a whole?
Well, I tell you what. As much as I talked about JoJo Earl, I thought Kool-Aid McKinstry has really done a phenomenal job. Not only one of the cooler names in the country, but he's been electrifying on punt returns, and most teams have made it a point to kick it away from him. So I do think special teams is, for the most part, to their advantage. But I'll be honest with you, I think there are a lot of Alabama fans, and I would even put Nick Saban in this company, that are not comfortable putting Reichert out there to kick field goals. And that's not something I would have said 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, or even last year. So I think that is a certain concern. I think when he does hit one, it's more of a relief than anything at this point.
He is Mark Heim on Twitter at Mark_Heim, AL.com, WNSP there in Mobile, and he's always here to fansplain you. You can always count on Mark to fansplain. Looking forward to a good game on Saturday, man. Hopefully it delivers. We appreciate the time as always.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Y'all have a good weekend, and thanks for having me.
You do the same. Mark Heim from WNSP and AL.com taking a look at the Tide. How about that with Will Reichert? Every time Alabama ever misses a kick, I will always tweet, Saban and them kickers, man. He just, for whatever reason, has never been able to make it work there with his kickers. All right, it's after further review. Paul Nolan, freewinners.net in about 15 minutes from right now. When we come back, Mel Kiper released his latest big board. LSU's got a chance to do something pretty special, potentially. I'll explain what next, AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. 24 28, old habits die hard, 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings. Try your new favorite flavor. Find your new favorite flavor today at Pluckers. Nicholson or Bluebonnet, dining, carry-out, or delivery. My goodness, have you looked at the slate tonight? Are you kidding me? Game 5 of the World Series is on tonight in Philly. It's a Philly-Houston doubleheader because you got Philly and Houston on Thursday Night Football as well. You want to watch a full slate of NBA games? You can do it. You know who's coming on later to save Otter Locks from his miserable losing streak? Colucci. So you better believe you want to watch some NHL. You can do that. And you got Thursday night college football as always. Oregon State, Washington, a little Pac-12 action tonight on Thursday Night Football. You can watch it all at Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dining, carry-out, or delivery. Make plans to be at Pluckers this weekend as well for LSU, Alabama. It's Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate.
After further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
My goodness, LSU may have a potential to do something pretty special with this upcoming draft. Look into that in a second. Always love telling you about ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, bumper-to-bumper auto service, name-brand tires at wholesale prices. ShawBills saved me. I told you, man. Had somebody got a little uppity, maybe didn't like what I said, threw a couple razor blades in my tires. Honest to goodness, true story. And ShawBills patched them both, and I got charged not a single cent because they'll always repair your tires. Check out the Charlie's Dozen. You buy tires at ShawBills. It extends not only the Charlie's Dozen, the benefits package to you, but all of the vehicles in your family, even if you didn't buy the tires there. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Lots of people can sell you tires. Lots of people can fix your car. Nobody will give you better customer service and treat you like family at the best price like Shaw Bills. Bumper-to-bumper auto service, name brand tires at wholesale prices. Shaw Bills. We keep you rolling. Mel Kiper came out with his latest big board. So if you're not familiar, this isn't a mock draft. It's just Mel Kiper ranking the top 25 players in the draft. And then he does his position ranking. So the top 10 players at each position for the upcoming draft. Will Anderson, he has from Alabama as the best player in this upcoming draft. Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia, number 2. Quarterbacks, as you'd expect, C.J. Stroud, the 3rd best player. Will Levis from Kentucky, he ranks as the 4th best player in the draft. Some people surprised to see Bryce Young dip a little bit there at 5. But there's no real argument there. I mean, all really good players and all who are going to be highly drafted. Kiper did list, however, a few players that dropped out of his initial rankings since the season started, his initial big board. The prospects who have dropped out since September, among them are wide receiver Kayshon Boutte from LSU, Anthony Richardson from Florida, Keely Ringo from Georgia, Tyler Van Dyke, the quarterback from Miami. So Kayshon was a top 25 overall prospect, according to Kiper, before the season started, and has dropped out of that list, but he certainly can work his way back, and I suspect he will. He'll be a first-round pick. What was more interesting to me, because I think we all know who the best players in the draft are going to be, what was more interesting to me was when I was going through the position rankings. And what is kind of starting to crystallize is LSU has a possibility of doing something really special next year if a lot of their players decide to return. Now, that may seem like an obvious statement, but in a given year, usually you'll have guys that are no-brainers that are going to leave early and guys that have no business leaving early. And then you usually have a few on the fence that you're waiting on a decision. By my count, LSU has at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 7 guys, at least 7, who are likely draft prospects who would stand to benefit by returning for another year if they chose to do so. And if they all return, LSU next year could be one of the most veteran and most talented teams in the country, because you would have this blend of experience, not only college football experience, but experience with Brian Kelly. And then you've supplemented with this tremendous recruiting class and back-to-back recruiting classes and all this young talent. And then you can go supplement in the transfer portal instead of building your whole roster, essentially, around the transfer portal. Mel Kiper has Jaden Daniels as the 9th best quarterback in this year's draft. So that's the biggest question that I think everybody asks is, does Jaden Daniels come back for another year? And I've told you what I've heard all along, which is he was always expected to be 3 and to the league. COVID sort of disrupted that, transferred, played at LSU, started slow, but he has really picked up, obviously. If you're wondering, the 9th quarterback taken last year in the draft was Brock Purdy, and he went in the 7th round to San Francisco. So if that holds, essentially what you're saying is Jaden Daniels is a day 3 guy. Now, what does he do over the next month? How much could he elevate his draft stock? That remains to be seen. But if you get Jaden Daniels back, that's obviously a no-brainer. Mel Kiper has none of the running backs listed among his top 10, and he also lists another handful of guys that just missed the cut. And so I understand John Emery's career hasn't gone the way that a lot of people had hoped, but Emery would probably stand to come back for another year. He's fresh. Armani Goodwin should be back. You're adding 2 dynamic freshmen as well that are going to be coming in. So your running back room is going to be far deeper than it is right now. No fullbacks. Kayshon, he lists as the 5th best receiver in this upcoming draft. No tight ends, which means you could return your entire tight end room. Certainly will return Mason Taylor. No offensive lineman on Kiper's big board. As we mentioned, you're going to return your entire starting 5. and a lot of depth behind him. The only other spots where LSU has a player that Kiper lists among the top 10 is at outside linebacker, where he lists B.J. Ojulari as the 6th best outside linebacker for this upcoming draft. I think we all understand B.J. is going to go to the league. He's going to go to the combine, wow everybody, and I think be a first-round draft pick because edge rushers are so valuable. And when you produce the way that B.J. has over 3 years at a place like LSU, it's a no-brainer. He's going to go pro, and he's going to be highly drafted, and you'll have to replace B.J. Ojulari. But this is where one of the ones that's kind of like iffy. I've always just operated under the assumption that Jaquelin Roy was going to go pro after this year. Mel Kiper does not have Jaquelin Roy among his top 10. He's got his top 10, and then after that, he's got a list of those guys that just missed the cut, and that's where you find Jaquelin Roy. After Fabian Lovett, Calijay Cansey of Pitt, Darius Robinson of Missouri, and then Jaquelin Roy. So basically, he's got Roy as the 14th best defensive tackle in this year's draft, which may make him a day 3 pick. So, that's where it really starts to get interesting for Brian Kelly in this team. And I'll remind you the last time this happened for LSU. Now, it did happen a year ago, before the 2021 season. Ed got a lot of guys to come back, like Deculus and Hines and Ed Ingram and Neil Farrell and Glenn Logan. You had a lot of guys return who ended up being draft picks, while LSU had 10 guys drafted last year. They had talent, they had veterans, they just were poorly coached and they lost a bunch of games. But it was after the 2015 season. That season started off so great, then LSU, of course, got stonewalled in Tuscaloosa, and they unraveled late. They were embarrassed in the all-white uniforms in Oxford, and then they lost. They got blown out by Arkansas as well in Baton Rouge. But all of those guys came back for 2016. The whole team came back for 2016. It was incredible. You had Tre'Davious White return and Kendall Beckwith and Ethan Posick, and you had such a veteran team. And you went into 2016 preseason top 5. You're the number 3. I think you're the number 3 team in the country when you lost to Wisconsin at Lambeau. But that team was one of the most talented teams in the country. And when I look at this, you're going to lose Kayshon Boutte, and you're going to lose B.J. Ojulari. Ali Gay is out of eligibility. Jure Jenkins is out of eligibility. So, some of these guys, Micah Baskerville's out of eligibility. Some of these guys are going to go, and they're going to be drafted. Like I just mentioned 5 guys to you right there that won't be back and are going to be drafted. Everyone else has a really interesting decision to make. And I could make a strong case that all of these guys should return. John Emery, Jaden Daniels, Mike Jones. Now, Jark Bernard Converse, he's a senior. He's out of eligibility. But Jay Ward's a junior. Should Jay Ward return for another year? You don't think he would stand to benefit to come back, play on a winning team, be one of the best defensive backs on an improved team, and go maybe be a top 100 draft pick? You got veteran guys like Fouché and Brooks who will be gone, but what about Major Burns? He's been injured the past couple of years. Does he return? I mean, you could start to look at it and say, this goes one of 2 ways. Either all of these guys leave and LSU ends up having, again, a double-digit number of guys drafted because you had so many veterans that were transfers. But if a lot of these underclassmen and guys with an extra year because of COVID make the decision to return, LSU could be, next year, a preseason top 10 team, one of the most talented teams in the country, and a team with a realistic championship expectation. Now, we're not going to resolve this today. There's a long way to go between now and guys making draft decisions. But it just occurred to me today when I was reading through Kiper's big board today and his position rankings, there aren't a lot of no-brainers for guys that are going to leave. And for a lot of these guys, most of these guys, I would make the strong recommendation that they return to improve their draft stock enough to where it would be beneficial if you're going to be a late, day 3 pick, or potentially play your way into a top 100 pick, which is the reality for a lot of these guys, which makes this a really interesting conversation. So file that away. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Paul Nolan, freewinners.net, joins us next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Miller Lite has more taste and only 1 more calorie than Michelob Ultra.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them. The right card, the right care.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Enter now for a chance to win a catch and cook fishing experience from the Louisiana Charter Boat Association with me, Chef Jay Ducote, winner of Beat Bobby Flay. Register now at gocatch.com. That's GEAUX catch.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, we debuted our segment with Paul Nolan of freewinners.net last Thursday. Gave you a couple of picks, and not bad when you start 2-0. Paul Nolan gave you over the total in the Lions-Dolphins. That was a rocking chair cover. That thing was covered in the third quarter. And he also gave you Seattle laying to 3. So Paul Nolan made us some money last week. And Paul Nolan of freewinners.net, good enough to join us again, as he will every Thursday. Paul, we appreciate you. How are you today?
Well, my friend, how you guys doing down there?
Doing fantastic, man. A really good job last week. It's a great way to start, and it's on a ton of confidence for the audience, man. Congrats on the 2-0 on the picks last week. We appreciate it. I'm curious your thoughts on Thursday Night Football tonight with a game that, man, Paul, I don't know that this could be much of a game at all, man. I'm curious your thoughts with a struggling Houston team, no Brandon Cooks, and then here comes the juggernaut from Philly.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, there's so many matchups here that say this has blowout written all over it, doesn't it? For me, sometimes when things look too easy, you can't be afraid of that. And that's the only thing that stops you from, backing up all your belongings onto the bookie's lawn and dumping it out. But, I've seen enough sucker bets in my lifetime to know you got to be careful. But it's just when you look at this game at so many levels, Jalen Hurts loves to throw his tight ends. Dallas Goedert is his safety net, right? Almost 2 yards per catch on per route run, which is fourth in the NFL. The Texans are the worst at covering tight ends, giving 9.1 yards per target to tight ends. I mean, that's a disastrous matchup. Houston's defense is also surrendering all kinds of yards to wideouts. To me, at this point right now, the matchup with Brown on the outside, I don't know who's going to cover him. Brandon Cooks not coming out to play because he's mad about wasn't traded in his contract, and that's a problem. Last week, when you look at Houston's offense, you take away their opening drive and their garbage time drive. I don't know if you know how many yards they had, but I'll tell you, 23. 23 total yards of offense between the first drive and the junkyard time drive. I mean, it's almost impossible to fathom in this day and age. So I like Darryl Stingley. Looks like he's growing into a player, but he doesn't have a lot of help. I also think that one thing on the other side of the ball, the one place the Eagles struggle a little bit, if there's one bugaboo for them, it's their rush defense. To me, Kazir White gets targeted with dinks and dunks out of the backfield. I just don't see that being a big problem this week. As much as I like Pierce, he's just a tackle breaker, and he runs like he's on fire. I don't think that's going to even come into play all that much this week. So what I wanted to give out as a free pick on the air tonight, last week I didn't have a real opinion on the Thursday night game, and a lot of times I don't, but I think the Eagles in the first half -7.5 makes sense because we have seen the Eagles take their foot off the gas in the second half quite a bit. The EPAs on their offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball, expected points added per play, EPA is a mathematical term, is so different from first half to second. I think we have a really good value on the Eagles lay 7.5 in the first half.
Okay, so Paul's giving out Eagles laying the 7.5 on the first half line. So no real thought on the game line at 13.5 tonight?
I would still lean that way.
Okay.
Big favorites on Thursday night in prime time. They tend to really roll up on teams. I also think the schedule makers have done the Eagles every favor possible. One, they've had one of the softest schedules going in. Then they get their bye. Then they have a chance to prepare for their Thursday night game in that big stretch of time. Most teams on a regular work week are trying to prep for two teams. Here they have the bye week to give them an opportunity to prep for both teams with the Thursday night on deck. And the Thursday night team they get is a team whose best player decided to quit on them and a team that's been in disarray for quite a while. So you really can't ask for a better schedule. I do think Philly's going to get thrown a wrench down the road when they up it in competition. But right now, it's hard for me to go against this team. But, with the line at 13.5, 14, I can see this being a rout. I really can, but I really do love the total on the game. And one of my customers who pay us for our expertise, they'll be getting that on the executive service tonight. But I also want guys to know that if they do text in with the weekend 6-pack, I will give that for free.
Okay,
I'll give the total for free tonight.
Okay, the weekend 6-pack. If you want the 6 games for free from Paul, text the word free, FRE. Text free to 313-GET-INFO, 313-GET-INFO. That's 313-438-4636. And Paul will give you that 6-pack for free. He'll throw in the total in tonight's game. But the pick Paul's given us here is the Eagles laying 7.5 in the first half. Paul, I know the 3 games for the weekend on the college slate that you're giving out for free. One of them is Bama LSU, a game that a lot of people here are going to be super interested in. That's another big number there. When you all and your team there look at Bama LSU, what's going to be the keys for LSU to keep that one within the number, maybe pull off an upset?
I got to tell you, in all honesty, it really to me comes down to gap discipline. If these teams remain disciplined in their defensive coverages, I think it's going to be LSU's going to have to get pressure, and in all honesty, they're going to have to protect. It's just that simple. It's really nothing more than that for me in this game. And I believe this LSU team has got more in the tank than we've seen, and Bama's not the team that we've seen in the past. I'm not completely sold on this Bama team, to be completely honest with you.
Georgia, Tennessee is another one you have there. Tennessee's offense has been a juggernaut, but Georgia, this is the classic case of what is like the immovable force and indestructible object, right? Tennessee's offense, Georgia's defense. So is this a feeling also where Tennessee should be able to move the ball and score on Georgia because they've done that against everybody?
Why not, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. A couple of weeks back, we saw them just, put a hurt. They've really put a hurt on just about everybody. This is, it's an offense that, we're going to find out how real they are this week, though, in my opinion. This will be the biggest test to see what Tennessee really is. And obviously the winner of this game is, slated as number one. So to me, it's a super exciting game, a primetime game. And, again, one of the freebies we're going to share part of the text service. We're going to essentially make you a customer, by just texting in, and we'll text you back these games all weekend long.
So Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Kansas State, Bama, LSU are the three college games. The three free plays for the NFL are Bills, Jets, Panthers, Bengals, and Titans, Chiefs. Panthers, Bengals, a lot of people here are going to be watching. Paul obviously got Joey B and the LSU connection. But, man, this division in the NFC South, everybody stinks. So everybody's kind of in it. Bengals not having Jamar Chase obviously affected them this past weekend, or on Monday Night Football. So what are we looking at there with Panthers Bengals, Paul?
I couldn't understand what I was watching with the Bengals last week. As a guy who loves the coaching factor, loves the X's and O's, love all the dynamic. I love this game. I love the games within the game. I love the nuances within the game. Why they were in 11 personnel I just don't understand. They just didn't have the bodies to handle that. I also, Chase is so incredible with his deep targets. He's one of those guys that, you have to respect him on the field. He's just a different animal on the field. Like, he's just incredible. He's so fast. He's so much faster in real life than he looks on film at times. And, I can't wrap my head around how the Carolinas found a way to lose that game last week. It was inexplicable. Some of the PJ Walker, some of the throws he made to DJ Moore were just incredible. And, he went against an absolutely abysmal, Atlanta defense. But now, this team's hopeful now, right? Carolina is hopeful. Cincinnati makes it. They couldn't have looked worse last week. That was the biggest. That was such a blowout, and the score just doesn't justify absolutely how terrible they were last week. And then they lose Cheeto Awuzie. He's done. And this defense for the Bengals has to step up. They have to carry this team at this point. And obviously, Joe Burrow is going to have to find a way to, make T. Higgins a number one receiver in this game. He's going to have to post up, stack guys. They're going to have to change this offense. They cannot run what they were running with Chase in there. They have to change their entire look, in my opinion.
So Panthers Bengals is going to be one of the free plays that Paul gives you in the six-pack. You can text the word free. Again, text the word free to 313-GET-INFO, 313-GET-INFO. That's 313-438-4636. Do you, when you're handicapping games, Paul, how much do you give any credence to like an interim bump, right? Matt Rule gets fired, Steve Wilkes elevated. It sometimes can refocus teams. We see that a lot on the college level. What about in the pro level? Do you consider that?
There's really no discernible metrics that show a coaching bump in the week, gives guys an advantage, or that like, hey, it's us against the world, coach. We got you. Things are usually so bad when a coach in the NFL is fired midseason. It's really, it's usually a bad sign. So yeah, no, we don't put. There's not a great deal of metrics in there, but weather metrics this time of year, I think guys really need to start. If you're not going to call anybody who's a professional handicapper who's really working at this, make sure you're looking at the weather. People out there, I can't stress that enough to people. Injuries and weather are so important. And people really, it's not that hard to get the weather in each city.
Right. We all have it on our phone. Like, just pull up the weather app. Paul Nolan from freewinners.net. Again, he's giving you 6 free plays if you text. And by the way, so Paul, when people text, I know you said last week, like, you'll wait because you want to see injury reports. So when can people expect, if they text you, when can people expect to get the return text with the pick?
They'll get tonight's pick right away tonight. Then tomorrow afternoon they'll get the 3 Saturday games, and then Saturday evening or early Sunday morning they'll get the Sunday games. Look, the NFL injury reports are getting more difficult to navigate over the last couple of years. Everyone's kind of taking the Bill Belichick approach. They'll take a fine just to lie about their injury reports. It's pretty frustrating. It's like the cost of doing business now. But there are some great times where you'll know an injury beforehand, and teams are hiding it. If if you got good connections and you talk to a lot of people out in the sports world, like you probably get great insight to some of the local teams. And if you're talking to a lot of people, enough people, you can find out like who's going to sit out and who's not. Like I'm pretty certain that Trey Hendrickson is just probably not going to play this week for Cincinnati. I think that's going to be a big factor. He's hurting big time. So, and if he does play, he'll be limited. So I know they're talking about him being ready to play, but I heard he's not really ready. So that's one of the things I want to keep an eye on as well with this game.
Okay. He is Paul Nolan, freewinners.net. Again, the free play Paul gave out here on the show, he's taking the Eagles laying 7.5 in the first half of tonight's ball game. And if you text him, right now, he will give you the total for tonight's game as well. So you'll have 2 plays on tonight's Thursday night football game and the 6 free winners with Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Kansas State, Bama, LSU, the Sunday games, Bills, Jets, Panthers, Bengals, Titans, Chiefs. It's all if you text the word free. Text the word free to 313-GET-INFO, 313-GET-INFO. That's 313-438-4636 to get your free plays with Paul Nolan over at freewinners.net. Paul, we always appreciate it, man. Enjoy the football. Yeah. Good luck tonight and all weekend, man.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks, man. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
We'll look forward to it. That is Paul Nolan again. Text the word free to 313-GET-INFO. Of course, we would prefer it if you would go to DraftKings and place your bets on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers, NBA's just getting started. Bet just $5, any NBA money line play. Boom, if it hits, they'll give you $200 in free bets right now at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Keep telling you about stepped-up same-game parlays as well. Opt in. You want to boost those same-game parlays. You can boost up to 100%, but you got to use the promo code Baton Rouge. So when you sign up, you'll see it'll give you an option to use a promo code. Type in Baton Rouge, one word, push together, Baton Rouge, to unlock those great promotions at the DraftKings Sportsbook. So much going on, man. Paul just gave you a play on tonight's game. He's going to give you the total on tonight's game as well if you text him for free. You got college football tonight. You got the NBA. Colucci's pick is coming up as well. Otter Lock's next hour. My goodness. You want to play, you want to get in the action, do it at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Parlay and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/football terms. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem. Call 1-877-7-0-STOP. All right, we will knock out a quick break, come back, and wrap up hour number 2. Muse will have Tigers and the Pros. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Baton Rouge General Hospital, brgeneral.org, brgeneral.org. You know where to find them, brgeneral.org, and locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. The Bluebonnet campus, the Mid-City location. They've got the Baton Rouge General Express Care locations, which is walk-in urgent care 7 days a week. They've got the Ascension Neighborhood Hospital as well, so you've got emergency care in Ascension Parish for the first time ever. And I always tell you about the Mayo Clinic Care Network as well. What that does is it allows your physician here to collaborate with the experts at the Mayo Clinic at no extra cost to you. Expanding healthcare for the greater Baton Rouge area. That's the Baton Rouge General Hospital. brgeneral.org, brgeneral.org to learn more about their locations, the services that they offer. It's the Baton Rouge General Hospital, of course, about the Mayo Clinic Care Network. Online, brgeneral.org.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Wrapping up hour number 2, Musso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
All right, start off, of course, with Thursday Night Football tonight. The Houston Texans, which means you'll see Derek Stingley in action tonight. I believe the first time, probably here locally, we've gotten to see Derek Stingley since he's been, unless you're watching Red Zone or something like that. So be on the lookout for D Stink out there against the Eagles. World Series last night, game number 4. A couple Tigers participate in that one. We'll start with Aaron Nola. Nola got a second start in the Fall Classic. Went 4 innings, gave up 7 hits and 3 earned runs. Didn't walk anybody. Struck out 4. Only threw 67 pitches on the night. Did, unfortunately, take the loss in the game. Alex Bregman was part of the reason why Aaron Nola took the loss. Bregman in the 5th inning, a clutch double that scored 2 runs, kind of broke the game open there. Houston, they would never look back.
Did the double come off of Nola?
It didn't. It was right after Nola got pulled, so he was responsible for the runners on base.
Got it.
1 for 5 in all for Bregman with a run scored, and, of course, the 2 ribbies. Game 5 is tonight. Bregman will be back in the lineup, hitting 4th for Houston, and playing third base.
Yeah, I was disappointingly disengaged. We were at Oliver Twist, which is awesome. I just didn't get to lock in and watch the game. So
no hitter last night, Matt. Combined no hitter, which are stupid, by the way.
Continue. I'll tell you a story in a second.
Okay. Finally, the Houston Rockets last night. Tari Eason, 18 minutes of action off the bench, 3 of 7 from the floor for a total of 6 points. Added 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 3 blocks. Tari stuffing the stat sheet last night. The Rockets lost 109-101 to the Clippers. That is Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. That's LMFJ.com. for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, we're getting toward the holiday season. Christmas is a perfect time where a lot of guys like to pop the question. If that's you and you're thinking about it, go to Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. If it's a certain style of diamond that you're looking for, maybe you're not sure, style, setting, shape, let our friends at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry help you like they've helped thousands of men in the Baton Rouge area for 40 years get engaged. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. So we were at Oliver Twist last night, very festive crowd. Ross Dellinger came in town. T-Bob and I finished Scone and Tea. And Deli and I ended up just sitting at the bar after the show for a good while and sipping whiskey. And it was just had a little bit of a time. It was a good time. I had no idea that the Astros threw a combined no-hitter.
That history was made.
I had no idea until this morning. Woke up, I was doing morning scone, and someone in the comments was like, "What do you think about the no-hitter?" I was like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
I mean, I went home, passed out, woke up, got dressed, fired up morning scone, and didn't even look at that any of that had happened. Anyway, so LSU Bama week and whiskey. All right, hour number 3 is coming straight at you. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com. SouthPointVW.com. Check them out. Go test drive a Volkswagen. If you've ever thought about buying a Volkswagen, it's such a great time. 9 different IIHS top safety picks. I know I hammer that all the time, but it matters so much to me, and I'm sure it does to you as well. Driving the safest vehicles on the road. IIHS top safety picks. It's the highest safety designation a vehicle can receive, and 9 different Volkswagen models have received that designation. So you're driving something that has style and feel and performance of luxury without the cost and the great safety features. It's Volkswagen, and Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer is South Point Volkswagen. So go to the website, search the inventory, work out your financing online as well right there, and then go test drive one and pick one up at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you. Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance.
available at the Acura Summer of Performance. This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Game 5 of the World Series tonight in Philadelphia. The series tied at 2. Noah Syndergaard pitches for the Phillies and Justin Verlander for the Astros. Verlander has given up 12 runs in 15 innings in these playoffs. ESPN's Jessica Mendoza.
When I look at Justin Verlander and the success that he needs to have is by utilizing his fastball. He was good the first few innings against the Phillies back in Game 1, but then being able to get to that fastball, instead he went away from it. He started going to the breaking ball. He started doubting himself.
Jess Mendoza. Game 5 coverage starts at 7 Eastern here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. The White Sox named Pedro Grifol the team's new manager to take over from Hall of Famer Tony La Russa. Grifol spent the last 10 years with the Royals, most recently as bench coach. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver plans to meet with Nets guard Kyrie Irving within the next week to talk about Irving's social media posts regarding an anti-Semitic book and movie. Irving says today he takes responsibility for the post, but also says he didn't make the movie.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Thursday, LSU Bama week. Man, a lot to get to. We'll let you hear more from Nick Saban, Brian Kelly. Interesting, Brian Kelly also talked about, in his interview on the Paul Feinbaum Show, how much longer he plans on coaching. We'll get to that here in just a moment. Gigantic news of the day. If you have not yet heard, maybe you're just knocking off work at 5 o'clock, jumping in the car and hadn't heard yet, Michael Thomas is done for the year. He has a dislocated toe, and earlier today, Dennis Allen said that he expects that Michael Thomas is going to be finished for the season, which means over the course of 3 seasons, Michael Thomas will have played a combined 10 games. He battled through that injury in 2020, missed all of 2021, came back this year, played just 3 games before suffering the foot injury, which we now know he dislocated a toe, and it looks like his 2022 season is over. Many have pointed this out. I just saw the tweet from Jeff Duncan, so I'll cite that. If you want to follow him on Twitter at @JeffDuncan_. If you look at Michael Thomas's 4-year timeline, in 2019, he signed the record 5-year, $96.25 million contract. And it was that year that he set the NFL record with 149 catches and led the NFL with 1,725 yards, was the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year. Of course, 2020, he missed 9 games with the season-ending ankle injury. 2021 missed the entire season, and now 2022, he will miss 14 games with that toe injury. So, if you missed the open of the show today, I would highly recommend you go back and check it out, AFR On Demand, presented by Brett Golf. And you can catch it via podcast or the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. If you're watching, by the way, thank you very much. Please smash that like button on the YouTube channel. It helps us, helps all of us. We kind of talked about if Michael Thomas's contract is the worst, it was one of the worst contracts in the NFL. The one thing, and I cited a whole bunch of contracts considered among the worst in the NFL, from Albert Haynesworth's $100 million deal with the Redskins to the deal that the Rams gave Jared Goff, or that Philly gave Carson Wentz. And there's others. Percy Harvin, the deal he got in Seattle. Interestingly enough, speaking of Seattle, the list we shared, one of the it was the 13 worst contracts. One of them was Matt Flynn's deal in Seattle, incidentally. As he got beat out by Russell Wilson. We all know how the story went. But the thing that is worth noting about Michael Thomas, because a lot of people have said he just wants his money, he doesn't want to play. I disagree with that completely. I will push back against that to anyone, because Michael Thomas set that receiving record with 149 catches after he got his deal. He signed his new contract and then set the NFL record. So it was very validating. When Michael Thomas got that contract, his play was warranted for the player at the time before the 2019 season. He had 3 years of incredible football to start his career, and it warranted getting that type of contract. And he validated it in that first year with his record-setting 2019. The unfortunate part is that his body has just broken down on him since. And now he'll be 30 in March, and it's hard to imagine all of a sudden, when your body is breaking down on you, that you then all of a sudden just have this resurgence. So I'm not sure that I expect that to happen now. And boy, it is just is very unfortunate that it's gone this way. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Great day yesterday. Hudco became the first roofing company, Louisiana-based roofing company, to install a certified fortified roof. Fortified roofs are something that lawmakers are pushing to become mandatory in Louisiana. And because they drastically reduce the possibility of water damage after wind. I mean, look, wind is still going to lift shingles. It's what happens. But when you have a fortified roof, that prevents water from getting into your house. So insulation, sheetrock, furniture, everything, paint, you wouldn't have to worry about it if you had a fortified roof. And fortified roofs can lower your insurance premiums as much as 50%. You learn more at HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. We got RC. RC, what's good, man?
Just riding around with these Florida Gators that we beat the brakes off of a few weeks ago. That's all. That's all we're doing. I got their extra large sweatshirts coming here soon. We missed out on that secret show I told you about that may or may not be coming next Tuesday with a guy that wears a UFC strap, but we missed that one. But they're still here, and they're still walking around and living. Gator bait is not something we could say on our show anymore. We don't even clap, Matt. We don't even clap our hands on our show because it almost looks like what they call. Is it the Gator chump? Is that what y'all call it? It's called the Gator chump. Yeah, the Gator. Yeah, they can't even do that on our show anymore.
We
don't allow it.
That was part of the deal as well. It's now been disallowed.
Yeah, it's been disallowed. The fact that they were both great collegiate players and drafted high and great pros. Nobody cares about that. What we do care about is that they can't tackle Jaden Daniels.
I wonder what Channing would have looked like trying to bring Jaden down in the open field.
I don't know. Channing was pretty dang talented for a guy who had 6 knee surgeries by the time he was 19.
By the time he was 19, he had 6?
Chan, how many knee surgeries you had in high school? 3 ACL reconstructions in high school.
Holy moly. And the other thing, RC, is he was on that team in 03 that beat LSU, the national champion team. So, I don't know, man. He's got a little bit of – he can flex a little bit. Like you can flex on Freddie T a little bit because of 97. He can flex a little bit about 03. I mean, when you beat the team that – we're the only team that beat the national champion. It's pretty good.
He doesn't remember that. It's okay.
No, fair enough. Hey, we got about 5 minutes here. I would love to get your thoughts on LSU Bama. What did he say?
I'm trying to talk. Nobody's asking about when you whipped LSU.
See.
Went up there and had 18 tackles, Matt Mott.
See, he does. See,
I didn't know what I was talking about back then.
see, he does. RC, he does remember. See, I'm telling you, man. That LSU scored first that day. Skylar Green returned a punt for a touchdown. That was LSU's only touchdown of the game. They lost 19-7.
Yeah, let's move on and talk about Alabama.
All right. A couple things about Bama I'm curious your take. Number one, why are their receivers not what they've been in the past?
You know, it's strange. You know, you think about Burton coming over from Georgia. He was high 4 or 5-star recruit going into there. You know, he transferred to Alabama. You expected him to be better. There's been little separation. There's been dropped footballs. And, you know, I think we both can agree the guy throwing the football to him is a top 5 pick.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you see those things, it's kind of perplexing because they have wide receivers on that roster that everybody else wanted as well. And so, you know, it's one of those things where you truly wonder why the production isn't necessarily there like we've seen from a lot of these Alabama teams, a lot of these Alabama wide receivers. But it's definitely different this year from past years when, you know, they've been just absolutely excellent on the outside.
Does LSU secondary match up well?
I do. I think so. You know, there's obviously speed on the outside, but I think when you look at our secondary, especially what we can do inside with some of our veteran players who have logged a ton of snaps, not only at LSU this year, but some at other universities as well. I think that experience, the understanding of most of them having been on the field with Alabama before and knowing what it feels like and seeing it before, I think that's an opportunity for us to match up on the outside. It's truly going to come down to the auxiliaries and the defensive line, and can you, one, pressure Bryce Young, also keep him within the pocket when he has those well-timed decision-making skills that put him in opportunities to make second play opportunities where guys down the field can uncover.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up. You mentioned some of the transfers, but I'm curious if this is a game where having Major Burns back helps LSU. Like, is he suited for this game? Like we talked about, you know, Joe Fouché being actually like really a good matchup in that Ole Miss game. Is this one where Major Burns plays a bigger role than maybe Fouché or Brooks?
Yeah, well, I think the role he can play is communication, confidence, understanding. He was obviously, before the injury early on in the season, having an amazing year and really being an impactful player, both in the run and pass. And so you now look at Major, who I felt was ascending, and he gets an opportunity to go out and prove himself. And I think he wants that opportunity. I think he's excited about it. But more than anything, I believe he's prepared. And just the continuity, consistency, chemistry, and like I said, communication that he'll bring, I believe is next level and something that you need in a game like this.
He's on Twitter at RealRClark25. You know that. Ryan Clark joins us every Thursday here, courtesy of our friends over at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Make your bets there. RC, as far as LSU's offense, mobile quarterbacks, dynamic players like Jaden Daniels have given Nick Saban's defenses trouble in the problem. Why is that matchup an issue traditionally for Nick Saban?
You know what? I can actually say I do not know.
Okay.
I think, now, let's think about this, right? It's not like these mobile quarterbacks that play extremely well against Nick Saban don't play well against other teams, right?
Yeah.
So we're not talking about guys. We're not talking about guys who are unknown when they step into the stadium, whether it be their home stadium or in Tuscaloosa, and then all of a sudden they explode, and we're like, oh, we've never heard of this guy. You know, so they're good players and they're talented, and using their legs is part of their game. But I do believe that if you aren't that type of player, if you can't create second play opportunities, if you can't improvise and pick up first downs with your legs, that normally the problem is the rest of the team in Alabama is so much better than yours, you can't win.
Yeah.
And so you sometimes need that special talent and that extra element in order to compete in general. And so it's so eye-popping when we have these sort of players and their teams play well, their offenses play well, and they beat Nick Saban. Let's think about 2019, which both you and I agree is the greatest collegiate season in the history of football.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Joe finishes that game picking up first downs with his leg.
Yep.
Even though Jamar was excellent and Justin played well. And so I just think that's just an extra added element that you need when you're playing against, the high-caliber recruits Alabama can get on campus, and also the coaching that staff provides.
You going to be able to watch it Saturday night?
I am. I'll be able to watch it Saturday night. We have a late one in Tempe, so before I head over, that's what I'll be doing. All
right, man. You got a feeling? I don't normally ask you for a pick, but, I mean, is this one you think LSU can maybe?
No, I do. Yes. I think this game ends up being closer than many will predict, and I believe LSU has an opportunity to win late. It's going to be, does Brian Kelly now and Jaden Daniels provide the coaching, the preparation, and also the execution that's needed to be the Nick Saban and the Bryce Young?
He's Ryan Clark. Make sure you check out The Pivot. Go to YouTube. Check out The Pivot on YouTube. Subscribe up to The Pivot as well. Can you tease us again who's dropping tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow we have a tight end who is also an author and an artist and does all the kind of other crap. And he has a brother who plays the league as well that rushed passers and may or may not have won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. And so we have that coming up. And like I said, next Tuesday, man, we also have a doozy for you guys.
Looking forward to it. Y'all check out The Pivot. Make sure you're subscribed up there or on your favorite podcast app. It's must-see TV, man. All right, stay clear of them Gators, RC.
Hey, man, I travel the world with Gators now, man. So all you can do is hope to not get bit.
Fair enough, man. Thanks, RC. We appreciate you making time, man, as always.
I'm going to have a good one, brother.
All right, be well. Ryan Clark with us, courtesy of our friends over at DraftKings. RC was supposed to be here in hour number 1. He told me he had to do a podcast with Fat Joe. It was like we got bumped for Fat Joe. You know what?
The rapper?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. He had to do a podcast with Fat Joe and then Ryan Leaf. So RC went Fat Joe, Ryan Leaf, AFR. So
Naturally.
I appreciate him for making the time. All right, we're a little late. We got Mike Triplett next. We'll preview Saints and Ravens. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 hour air where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001. I keep telling you every day, y'all, preseason heater safety check. The cold weather is upon us. It'll be here before you know it. Make sure your home central heater is clean, tuned up, running efficiently and safely before the cold weather gets here. River City's 1 hour air can do that. Mention the Moscona special. They'll save $30. And I always love sharing great 5-star reviews. This one from Robin Hart, who said, Kevin Webb did an excellent job. He was on time, very professional and friendly. He checked out my unit indoors and out, made sure everything was running right, explained everything he was doing, answered all my questions, gave tips on how I can get more out of my unit. I am very satisfied with his service. Thanks, Kevin, for all of your help. Another satisfied customer at River City's 1 hour air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side and call 752-0001 for River City's 1 hour air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
3 people walk into a bar. The first 2 order the same old marks. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Mike!
Yeah?
Saints coverage with some Mad Libs mixed in.
Why don't you just go by Mike?
It's time to talk black and gold with Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football, presented by Benny's Car Wash, family owned and operated since 1951.
All right, let's get to it. Mike Triplett joins us. We'll talk Saints, Ravens, no doubt, but bigger issue at hand, Michael Thomas's injury, done for the year. Mike, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing, Matt?
I'd be doing much better if Michael Thomas wasn't done for the year.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. I guess just update us with what you know at this point.
Well, I mean, I don't know too many intricate details about the injury and what went wrong when they originally were hoping maybe it would be a 2-week injury, and then it ended up requiring surgery. If you take it at face value, though, that's the information that we've gotten both, privately and publicly, is they didn't put him on IR originally because they were hoping it could be the type of injury that he could be back with in a matter of 3 weeks or so if it got better and it wouldn't require surgery. And after whatever it is now, 5+ weeks, it wasn't getting better. And Dennis Allen said after the latest MRI, they ultimately decided surgery was the way to go to make this thing finally get right, and that they don't expect him to play again this year. Now, we can get into conspiracy theories. Was he misdiagnosed? Is he too particular about his body now after the last one went so awry? Those things I can't answer for you, but obviously they were hoping for the rehab route, and now they're going the surgery route, and that's bad news for Mike Thomas and the Saints.
Mike, is there everyone's asking now, okay, what do you do with Mike Thomas? You have a guy who's approaching 30. His body is breaking down on him. He's got this huge contract. So what do you do with Mike Thomas?
Well, so here's how it works financially. If you just say, we're cutting you, that's it, we're done with you, he's going to count $25 million against your salary cap next year. If you keep him exactly as he is and say, let's do this for another year, he's going to count $28 million against your salary cap next year. So there is no scenario where they just get away scot-free and clear up their cap next year. But the real football decision they're going to have to make is he's due a $15.5 million salary plus some bonuses that bring it to $16.5 million next year. In 2023 cash money, $16.5 million. So they will have to decide how healthy is he, how much do we trust that he can stay healthy, how much do we want him on our team, do we want to pay him $16.5 million? That seems pretty far-fetched to me. Obviously, that's half the price that some receivers are making now, but we don't know what Michael Thomas is going to be next year, and we don't know if he can stay healthy. So I would think the conversation is probably, will you take a pay cut, or will you turn a large portion of that salary into incentives that you can only meet if you're healthy and you reach them? Or do they just plain release him? I bet those two are more likely than keeping him at full price.
That's interesting. Boy, swallowing a $25 million dead cap number is just that's painful to think, but it's the situation they're in. Mike, I guess the good news is in the immediate short term, this really doesn't matter because you hadn't had Michael Thomas anyway. So, I mean, obviously you're better with a healthy Michael Thomas, but you haven't had him, and you won't have him now, So now you turn the page to Baltimore, and you look at how you try to keep pace in an awful division, which clearly it looks like they can do. What offensively that you see has changed that is working so well now?
Well, first of all, I said this even before I knew that Michael Thomas was going to have surgery. When we didn't see him on the field today and we were doing our roll call, I turned to Nick Underhill or whoever else was standing next to me, and I said, thank God this team made the trade it did for Chris Olave. Because the fact that we're going on like week 6 that they're not going to have Michael Thomas and we don't know yet if Jarvis Landry's going to return, although he was back on the field today. The fact that, their season doesn't seem to hang in the balance while waiting for those guys to come back each week because they still have a pretty good offense. Chris Olave is the main reason why. He's emerged as a bona fide number one receiver. You're right, a healthy Michael Thomas probably would have been number one, and Chris Olave would have been an incredible number 2. But that's amazing how much Chris Olave has been able to mean to this team right away as a rookie, and that's the first answer to your question. And I also said, all those other guys, Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, Deontay Hardy, before he got hurt, Rashid Shaheed now, they weren't good enough to be your 1, 2, and 3, but they're perfectly capable of being a 3, 4, and 5. And if you get Jarvis Landry back, what a bonus that would be. Whatever Taysom Hill and Juwan Johnson can give you, and maybe Adam Troutman as pass-catching tight ends, it's a world better than it was last year, that's for sure. And obviously, Alvin Kamara is the number one guy you feed the most in the passing game, and I think Andy Dalton's been a really good quarterback at getting the ball in Alvin Kamara's hands in the passing game.
And certainly when your defense does not allow a point, you're going to win a lot.
That helps, too.
You're going to win a lot.
That helps.
Yeah, you're going to win a lot, man. Any reason to believe they can keep doing that?
Well, Lamar Jackson's going to provide quite a test because even if this was last year's Saints defense that was playing so phenomenal in the second half of the season, even if this was any Saints defense from 2017 through 2021 when they were one of the best defenses in the NFL, they've had problems with mobile quarterbacks. The worst problems coming against Jalen Hurts, obviously, and not just that the quarterback runs for yards, but that the running back standing next to the quarterback seems to go nuts too. That we saw that again in Week 1 with Marcus Mariota and Cordero Patterson. So I think they did a little bit better job of containing Kyler Murray a few weeks ago, although they still gave up too many big plays against that team. So I worry about this matchup a little, but I do trust some of the gains we've seen in the Saints secondary, and a lot of that has to do with their improved health, getting Alontae Taylor, Paulson Adebo, and now P.J. Williams all back in the last 3 weeks. And Baltimore doesn't scare you too much in the passing game, other than Mark Andrews, who's an injury question mark himself. They don't have the threats that make you fear are going to, get those big plays over the top. It's all about stopping Lamar Jackson in this one.
Do you think they can do it?
Sure. I mean, first of all, the NFL is so weird this year that I rarely look at the opponent and think the Saints are going to win or lose because the opponent is just unbeatable. Although at Philadelphia later this year might be a different story.
Yeah.
But there's nothing unbeatable about the Baltimore Ravens. And I was really encouraged by what I saw. I'll tell you what, my most pessimistic take on the Saints before last week was even when they get healthy, even when they fix some of the sloppy mistakes they made earlier this year, I didn't know how high their ceiling was. I thought they were going to have to win games like, the Cincinnati game they should have won, hang on to it in the end and play just well enough to win. I didn't really know their ceiling was as high as what we saw the other day. So that's really encouraging. If the Saints play anywhere close to that level, they can beat just about everyone on their schedule.
If you take the sort of the 10,000-foot view, Mike, I am curious your thoughts on sort of the path for New Orleans. Obviously, it would have been great if Carolina didn't completely spit the bit at the end of that game, but your game out. So let's take the 10,000-foot view and look at a path that's realistic for this team to maybe win this division.
Well, I think 9-8 will be really hard to get to, but I think 8-9 is realistic, and I think 8-9 could win the division. I still think Tampa Bay is the biggest wild card, even though Atlanta's winning the division at 4-4. Tampa Bay might still have the highest ceiling of any team, but look, if they get to 8-9 by beating Atlanta and sweeping Atlanta, then they win a tiebreaker at 8-9. I mean, it's an actually realistic possibility, and it feels like a little bit of a joke to say, hey, we can still win this division, guys, but I think 8-9 might win this division.
Let's roll. I'm in. I'm in. Let's go. Look, we did in 2014, we saw Carolina win it at 7-8-1. I mean, let's go. Let's do it.
And then they won a playoff game, too.
They did, in fact, win a playoff game. Oddly. And look, and the Saints were on the wrong side of one in 2010 against a 7-9 Seattle team. So let's go.
If you win your division with a losing record, you win your first playoff game, too. History tells us that.
I know, it's crazy. I think the only time it didn't happen, though, Mike, was the COVID year, 2020. Washington won the NFC least at 7-9 and lost to Tampa in the wild card round.
They put up a
fight
in that game, though.
They did. I won a lot of money with Washington and the points in that game. Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football. Our interviews with Mike are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash every week. Benny'sCarWash.com. Man, you can get unlimited oil changes or unlimited car washes. Unlimited car washes at Benny's Car Wash. Go join the membership club. The Wash Club memberships are incredible, and you also get discounts on gas at the Be Quick stores. It's Benny'sCarWash.com, Benny'sCarWash.com. All right, Mike, we appreciate it as always, man. Hopefully next week less eventful, but hopefully we're talking about a Saints win and a team that maybe is pulling even in the division.
It's always more enjoyable to talk about the occasional Saints win instead of just the what's wrong and who's to blame questions, right?
We were getting way too many of those. So, yes, this is way more fun. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
All right, be well. Mike Triplett again from NewOrleans.football. You can go check out his work there. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Triplett. And, of course, we appreciate our friends at Benny's Car Wash for bringing you our conversation with Mike Triplett every single week. Benny'sCarWash.com, Benny'sCarWash.com. You see them all over. The big, giant green Benny signs. You know where they are. Go get your oil changed at Benny's. Go get your car wash. Get your car wash at Benny's. Go get your oil changed at Shaw Bills. All right, it's after further review. We're going to knock out a quick break here. Gosh, still a lot to get to. We're going to do what Muse, Paulie, and I will get to what to watch. A lot to do. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. For more than 60 years, our friends over at Clegg's Nursery have been helping homes and gardens and front yards and lawns and everything look awesome. Largest greenhouses in our city. And the garden centers, you can check them out at Clegg's Nursery, Siegen Airline, LA16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every single day about Clegg's Nursery. They got beautiful fall flowers in right now. It's a great time to go pick out those fall flowers. Also, man, if you're a deer hunter, they got buckbusters, mow bucks, deer corn, rice bran. They got you covered right now at Clegg's Nursery. So you need to set those plots and go do it over at Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, also a great time to plant trees right now at Clegg's Nursery. They've got them, trees, shrubs. November is the time. Check them out. Buy local, shop local, tell them I sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Christmas in November, 1 week from today at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. One day only, biggest sale of the year. You'll want to be there. Blue Bonnet, Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey, and Lafayette, the antiagingclinics.com. No Terrio tomorrow. Congratulations to Georgia Terrio, who's on the homecoming court at Dunham. So Terrio is going to be doing dad homecoming stuff tomorrow. All good. So some of the stuff that we might have done today we'll bump to. It's like what to watch we'll do tomorrow on Football Friday. We will have Phil Steele on Football Friday as well. We'll take a look at a closer look at the Ravens and Alabama as well tomorrow. So looking forward to a good jam-packed, chock-full Football Friday show. Muse.
Oh no!
You got another one.
All right.
It said to Matthew Musso, care of Matt Moscona, and it's a box. For those who are listening and not watching, it's an Amazon box. I mean,
okay.
I don't know if it's breakable, so I don't want to throw it.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, why don't you come?
Yeah, I'll come.
Come snag this if you would. Take off your little Apple earphones. Get some headphones. But you also can't hear anything, which is why you hear things, but you don't hear audio levels well. You don't, which is why the music blares over me, and it's anyway. But let's see if you can open up that box and see what's in there. I'm curious to see. The last gift that Muso got was a Happy Holla weed.
I mean, I would imagine this is something similar.
Shirt. We'll see what it is. There's a lot of tape on that too. Yeah. I noticed. You got it. Okay, you got some. Okay. Yeah, we'll bust that thing open there and see what's in there. Jimmy Ott's coming up, by the way, for Otter Locks here in just a few minutes. I'll remind you, Paul Nolan from freewinners.net, he gave out first half Eagles first half line tonight, lay at 7.5. I just checked the DraftKings, it's at 8. So, but I think they did recommend you buy it down to 7. But Eagles first half tonight was what Paul gave out live on the show, and you could text him to get your 6 free bets. So we'll get to Otter Locks here in just a few minutes, waiting for Muso to stop acting like my grandma trying to open a present. By the way, happy birthday to my grandma. Grammy is 88 today.
You'll be opening some presents.
Grammy is 88 years old. I mean, the matriarch. Hot. Grammy should call you hot. Hey, Dolan. Happy birthday, Grammy. I love you. All right, what we got, Muse? What we got?
No, it looks like a skull cap.
A skull cap, like a beanie?
It's a skull cap.
A beanie.
Yeah, a beanie. Yep. Yeah. With Christmas lights on it.
Okay.
Says, let's get lit. Oh, wait.
Oh, do they light up?
It's got to. It has. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, are there actual lights on there?
I can't tell. It looks like it.
Well, put it on, Muse. Come on. You're always wearing a hat in here.
Up.
All right. Let's see what we got. Old Muse. Let's get lit.
Well, that's not cool. It has a thing that makes you think it lights up, and it won't light up.
Oh, maybe you need a battery.
I thought this was the battery.
I don't know. Just put the hat on. Let's see.
It's not. Well, it is Christmas.
Yeah, it's Christmas. Well, yesterday was Christmas.
I don't know.
It was cool. Look at that.
It's a little big. It's a little big.
Oh no, it's perfect.
Well, because look at all the excess.
That's what happens. Not all of them are form fitting. Yes, some of them had it's the one with the little scrunchy ball on the top. It's supposed to be like that. It falls backwards. Yes, absolutely. It's perfect.
Oh man.
Oh, look at Muse. Why don't you look at the camera over here so everybody can see it? How about it? Yeah. Give us the full rotation. Give us the full.
Well, that is kind of. That's it. It just.
Well, I got it. Well, we can't see the lets. There you go. Okay. The other way. There you go. Let's get lit. There it is. All right.
Let's get lit.
Look at you, Muse. You get gifts here all the. Nobody sends me gifts.
Yeah.
You should be so honored. People
I
send
am.
Gifts all the time.
I am. This one. I fully expected it to just have like weed leaves all over it, but I guess not.
That's really good. All right, it is after further review. Game 5 of the World Series is tonight. We'll get a pick from the Otter. Here was Bregman on his 2 RBI double in the 5th inning, which broke the game open last night.
It was a pass the baton kind of inning. Guys putting together good quality bats, swinging at pitches that were good pitches to hit. And each guy not trying to do too much, just staying within themselves. And for myself, I was just trying to put a good swing on a pitch and put the ball in play. And then I thought Tucker did a fantastic job after that of moving the guy over and getting one in. And then Yuli came up with a big hit to add insurance.
What's interesting is Rob Thompson, the Phillies manager, mentioned that early in the season, they were no hit and then won the next day. Oddly enough, when I went to New York over the summer, the Yankees were no hit by the Astros. And then the Yankees walked off the Astros the next day at Yankee Stadium. So I don't know that actually proves anything other than baseball is a funny game, and sometimes you can get no hit one day and win the next day. And sometimes you can throw a no-hitter one day and lose the next day. So it's obviously a massively consequential game. If you're Philly, you'd love to go back to Houston with the series lead, needing just 1 of 2. If you're the Astros, you take a commanding lead if you win today, and you're up 3-2, needing just 1 game on your home field to win a World Series title. So Game 5 tonight there in Philly. You've also got Texans-Eagles tonight, so another Houston-Philly matchup. This one, though, in Houston there at Reliant. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles put their perfect record on the line. This should not really be a competitive game at all. Quite honestly, I'm way more interested in the college game tonight. I do love Pac-12. I love watching Pac-12 late-night football, so I'll be locked in tonight. It's Oregon State and Washington tonight on Thursday Night Football at the college ranks. I'll keep an eye on all of it, but really, really interested to see the college game tonight. It's a 4.5. Washington is a 4.5-point home favorite. Oregon State is ranked, but Washington is an unranked home favorite. And what do we always say when a unranked team is favored over a ranked team? You blind bet the unranked team. So I know when Otter's with us here in a few minutes, he's going to give you Washington laying the 4.5. That's his old adage. So I will be hammering that tonight as well. All right, it's after further review. Let us knock out our final break. We'll come back. We'll talk to the Ott father to wrap up the show next. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. 293-0450, 293-0450, 293-0450, or lainsurance.net. Better coverage for less money, I tell you every day. Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call them, let them shop so you can save. It's that easy. We all have insurance. We all legally have to have insurance. And so many of us are overpaying. We're underinsured. You go with the guy who's the insurance agent who's your neighbor or your cousin, and they may be great people, but they can only get your rates from their parent company. Allstate, State Farm, Liberty Mutual. God, Liberty Mutual's the worst. We hear about them all the time. They'll get you in at a low rate, man. They will jack it up on you before you even know. You have that auto draft rolling, and before you know it, man, you're paying out the wazoo, out the yin yang, out the Yaktabe, as the great Mike D would say. Don't do that. Call Insurance Network of Louisiana. Let them shop independently for free to find you better coverage for less money. 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit. We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance. This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, online at theantiagingclinics.com. We got one thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable of an incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, first of all, I screwed up. The Washington-Oregon State game is tomorrow, not tonight. So Otter's not giving a pick on that tonight. But we do have two college football games, UTEP and Rice, App State, Coastal Carolina, Thursday Night Football, Game 5 of the World Series, hockey. Otter, how are you?
Good, man. Good. Coastal Carolina wins last week at Marshall. But, man, they're still, as the strength, the caliber of competition is going to ramp up a little bit in conference play. They had kind of struggled on offense, even with Grayson McCall. Only 270 yards of offense. They benefited from a +2 in a turnover margin in that road win at Marshall. So coming back here, App State, after they finally have caught their breath after a wild start of the season, win at A&M, which I thought was much bigger than it actually is. Game day being at Boone, North Carolina, them hitting on the Hail Mary to beat Troy at the end. And it caught up with them when they had a 28-3 lead the next week against James Madison and lost outright as double-digit favorites. I think they kind of have caught their breath, coming back. I like them -3. Coastal statistically a little better on offense. App State a little bit better on defense, but App State can certainly grind it out with their 1-2 punch at running back, so on pace for 1,000 yards rushing. So App State -3 in that one. Let me throw a couple of numbers at you for LSU and Alabama, Matt.
Okay.
So LSU was number 10 in the rankings right now. I think that's a little high, and that's fine. But their point spread value, their Vegas ranking is 22. And, of course, that's based over the entire body of work. Now, do we think they'll play closer to the last two games or the previous, 6 or so?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so, they call it in form. My point is LSU is getting a much bigger number than based on their earlier when they were trying to find themselves and trying to put all the pieces together, trying to identify guys by the number of 40 who can play and is more impactful. And the passing game has come on. I think that this is your last opportunity to get LSU at such a low point spread value, a Vegas ranking. So, and these are the same charts that we used to get the 14-point spread a couple of weeks ago when people were asking us going into the breaks. It's very accurate. I don't think they're worthy of a 10 ranking by the committee. I think they're closer to about 15. But I'll tell you is, the last couple of weeks, the past couple of games, they're playing at least at a 10th ranking in the country. So they're the most improved team in the country over the last couple of games. And I like LSU in the points because I think there's some value there.
Right.
Does it make sense? I know it's a lot of numbers, but
no, that makes tons of sense. I mean, it does if you're looking at the cumulative season total, and LSU's been a different team over the last two games, especially offensively. It does make a lot of sense.
And don't we think they'll play closer to that now than what they were earlier? So kind of a little bit like that 2001 team, So maybe a year ahead of schedule. It was Saban when they caught fire in the second half of 2001, and that offense never looked back once they got going. Stoops in the second year at Norman, the Urban Meyer in the second year at Gainesville, winning it all. It's ahead of schedule, but still, I think it's enough to keep them close. Yeah. Winning and getting over the hump against an elite quarterback like Young and a program like Alabama, that's another story. We'll see. But I do think they'll keep it close.
Okay. We got a Colucci pick tonight?
We do not. I apologize.
What a gut punch, man.
Well, it's blame your alma mater. We're being preempted at 7 o'clock for some high school game in Zachary or something. So Brewerton wants to play on Thursday like he used to do with Parkview and Redemption. So so we're going to 7 o'clock, and then we'll have Catholic High football on at 7.
I mean, could we just get? Is Colucci coming on with you at 6:30?
Yes, he is.
Oh, okay. So he'll give us a pick. He'll give us a pick at 6:30.
Yes. So, half the time, half the preparation today.
I mean, if Colucci's still coming on at 6:30, the fact that we wait all week. We wait all week for Colucci's pick. I mean, it's and it's Thursday. I've been teasing it, and now I've basically lied to my audience.
It won't be the last.
Hey, Otter, I'm concerned about the action, man. Not a great start. What do we do? What are we thinking
Oh,
here?
man, we had one sleeper, and the other one fumbles the ball going into the end zone in a game that's like 16-12. I mean, we don't cover by a point. And the other team's down 7. They get sacked, so they have to kick the field goal with like 3 minutes to go. And that's how it ends. So, no, but I mean, in a low-scoring game, I mean, you can't fumble. I mean, the guy goes in, hold on to the ball. So,
all right. Where are you, Otter?
We are at Jolie Pearl.
Oh, that's right, Thursday. That's right. Okay. All right. Y'all get on by. See the Otter over at Jolie Pearl. Have a great show. Thank you, man.
All right, man. See you.
All right. Game Time with Jimmy Ott follows us in Baton Rouge. If you're not in Baton Rouge, online at 1045ESPN.com or the Game Time with Jimmy Ott Facebook page. Football Friday tomorrow. Looking forward to it. No Terrio tomorrow. Congrats to Georgia Terrio on the homecoming court. So Terrio has dad duties, which is awesome. So we will have a Football Friday that we're looking forward to it. We will see you tomorrow. Muse Pauly, thanks. AFR.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, let me remind you about Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. That's Mold Zero. We're talking about a patented, non-toxic, dry fog treatment. If you have mold, have odors, let Mold Zero take care of it. Call Jim, come out. They'll give you the free estimate to tell you how much it'll take to clean up your whole building. A home, office, whatever it may be, Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com. They service Greater Baton Rouge and Greater New Orleans, North Shore included. So you go to the website. They have the phone number for Baton Rouge and the phone number for New Orleans. So choose which one best suits you. And you can learn more about their patented dry fog treatment process at mold-0usa.com. They'll spray this fog. You basically let it dwell to kill all the mold, all the spores, and then you just let the fog dissipate. You're only out of your home or office for a couple of hours. Mold-0usa.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in studio.